The title of the opening chapter is The Arrest. What's described is a conversation between a group of people in a Berlin flat, put together very much like an act in a contemporary production directed by the great Stanislavski. It is gritty and naturalistic, the emphasis always on underlying themes. For there is nothing straightforward about how it happens. As Kay comments, I don't know this law. The expected chain of events, and ones Kay might have had a chance of dealing with, would have been two strictly uniformed Victorian officers of the law, a stern bang on the door, and Frau Grubach coming to inform him they are waiting in the living room with papers proving some crime he had committed. He would then be taken to the station where the matter would be brought to a head. Kay attempts to push back, but it seems so out of place when he thinks they can just shake hands and part ways, like in his gentleman's club. That's one thing you can say for the 19th century way of doing things. At least it was honest in its brutality and inequality, the workhouses and debtors' prisons. Here, most everything is being carried out on the mental level. A dark machinery that does not make sense, but entraps its victims in double-speak and a very personal type of manipulation. Little is said or achieved during the morning or day, yet Kay never stops for a second. His acquaintances all seem to have distanced themselves in some indefinable way. His next-door neighbours are definitely watching and can do any time from where they live opposite. This form of eyes and ears, persuading or coercing family, friends and public to do the policing, was a concept that became extremely useful for both Hitler and Stalin's regimes. The philosophy that to be a good citizen was the thing, and that involves following orders and not thinking or relating to others. In 2019, these psychological techniques were pushed to the limit, with seeing what people could be induced to do. Walking down guided lanes in supermarkets, wearing pieces of material over their mouth and noses, and clapping in the street on cue. To be fair, particular subtlety is necessary with someone like Kay, being an educated man of standing in the community who knows his rights to an extent. Perhaps the warders aren't as simple-minded as they claim. The necessary intimidation their employment requires is there, but only in small physical demonstrations, timed at the right moments, as in when the nameless warden flings the book on the table, on telling Kay he can't go out because he is arrested, or when he is driven back to his room. They are present as he wakes up disorientated, eating his breakfast, laughing at inappropriate times. I think it is significant that he is forced to wear black, and that they are in unnecessary, flamboyant, you could even say symbolic uniforms. There is a finality and seriousness to the atmosphere, very much of the courtroom, as if the proceedings, as they call it, had already been carried out and decided, and this was all for show. along with the sinister comments dropped by the warders about his situation and what's to come. Later on in the chapter, more pressure, through the presence of the 3 employees from the bank. Also the man with the red beard, a boy loitering in a doorway, and finally the captain, ostensibly Friar Grubach's nephew, in the other room, when he returns that evening and talks with Fräulein Berschner. Kay is becoming surrounded, but then how much is paranoia? This is what Kafka is a master of, knowing what is going on from moment to moment on the psychological level and where these thoughts are leading. He is aware that it is strange, unsuitable though the hour was, to wait up late for Fräulein Berschner, but does so anyway, instead of visiting his mistress as he would have normally done. Only he shows signs of raising his voice or behaving erratically, walking up and down, etc., and twitching. The choice of words used by the inspector especially reminds me of the condescension of a person who understands well how to play the game, its rules and quirks, but openly admits to knowing nothing about the written law and really of being just a cog waiting for his paycheck. For when Kay says his duty is stupid, he simply replies, "That may be, but that it was done." The benefit of this setup for the enforcer being that no information can then be gleaned by the accused.